Hi everyone, this is Ranjay here, and today I'll be your presenter through this session where we'll talk about Salesforce and some of the features that Salesforce provides. Before we start, let me ask you guys to quickly tell me if you guys are hearing my voice clearly. Quickly, you can either raise your hands or ping through the chat window that you guys are getting my voice clearly. Just want to ensure that before I start discussing about Salesforce and its features. Okay, I see confirmation from almost 6-7 of you. Okay, guys. So let's start without waiting for anything. Let's actually start and hope the next half an hour will really help all of us to understand in a brief what Salesforce provides. Now, my introduction first. So I am Ranjay Chakravarti. I am currently working with an IT MNC firm, and in terms of my Salesforce experience, I have almost 5 years. I have almost been working with Salesforce for the last 5 years now. Total of around 9.5 years of work experience, and prior to that, I have done my engineering and my MBA from IIM Lucknow. That's about me in brief. Now, what are my hobbies? Typically, in terms of whenever I talk of hobbies, Salesforce.com features high on those as well. Reason being, very simply, I came back to Salesforce after a very different set of experience. The prior experience was extremely lucrative, but just for the love of Salesforce, I came back at a point in time where I had to decide my career path. I hope with today's session, I'll be able to encourage a few of you to look at Salesforce as a career option. Okay, with that, let's get to Salesforce and understand what it provides. Meanwhile, I'm sure you guys are posting your details in terms of your name, the current domain you're working on, and your number of years of work experience. If you could put it in the chat window, that will really help as we keep discussing things about Salesforce.com as well. That will help me to understand where you're coming from. Okay, guys. So here we go. So what we'll basically start with today is have a quick look at overall CRM and what cloud computing means. Getting specifically into Salesforce, we'll look at what are the three different aspects of Salesforce, namely the Sales Cloud, Marketing Cloud, and Service Cloud. And then within Salesforce, we'll look at three aspects. One is business objects, which is like the backbone of this entire Salesforce.com. Second is some of the Salesforce tools that are available in the market in terms of what is it that can be done with Salesforce to achieve CRM related expertise. And third is how does Salesforce helps in the analytics space. These are the things that we'll cover today in, say, the next 25 minutes to 30 minutes. And of course, after that, we'll have an open question and answer session wherein you can put your questions in the chat window. At the end of the session, we'll discuss each of those questions in detail. Starting with CRM, very simply, CRM stands for Customer Relationship Management. It's all about how a company manages its interactions with its clients and sales prospects. So the thing is very clear. Look, for any company, its clients are the most important set of assets. Based on how a company interacts with its clients and its sales prospects, a company's future in terms of revenue, the company's future in terms of the line of business and so on, that gets decided. As a result, if you can't connect to your clients in a proper way, your business is really at stake. And so if I have to summarize all of this customer relationship management in three broad points, I'll have to look at three things. One, I will have to know how do I engage my existing clients. When I say engage, you'll have to think about what do I talk about so that the clients remain with me. That's retaining my existing customers. Second, there are obviously a lot of clients where the clients are there. Yes, there may be a steady business from those clients, but then we don't see any growth, or the business may be gradually tapering down. How do we energize those kind of accounts? How do we get those accounts to think more about us? That's second in terms of energizing dormant accounts. And finally, of course, the main thing about any business, finding new clients. That's always something which everyone is looking for, right? So these are the three main purposes for which CRM will always try and sustain. You can see a couple of examples at the bottom of the screen. So basically, let's look at it in this way. You see a lot of advertisements coming up in different websites, right? And let's take an example. You log into ClearTrip today, you try and see a couple of flights and a couple of details that you have seen around in your that you want to check, and then what happens? Say you want to then go into some other site and you still see that small bit of window coming up, which is an advertisement from ClearTrip that the fare has actually gone down. Now it's a different thing. How is this entire thing captured? That's something which Google does, or rather a lot of websites do, and by placing their own set of identifiers. That's a different thing. But the basic premise that I'm trying to explain here is, you are, as a company, ClearTrip is trying to engage you and showing you the right path, and showing that yes, if you book today, the fares have come down. Please look at us as an option, because we will give you the most important updates in terms of reduced fares. That's what CRM is all about. It's about engaging your customers in a meaningful dialogue. Now, one very important question is, why is it that CRM has really come up in the last, maybe say 10-15 years? Before that, I don't think CRM was something which was even talked about. Yes, it was a concept which was there in a lot of MBA books. It was a concept which a lot of big universities spoke about. But why is it that it suddenly gained a lot of prominence? First and foremost, companies always have had the data about customers. Yes, it may have been that it would have been in different shape and form. Some companies would have had it in, say, Excel sheets. Some would have had it in, let's take an example. Some would have had their salespeople to maintain diaries with customer data. But then the data was always there. The important thing has been, how is it that that data is used to find out where is it that my next focus should be. Second, when I gradually, as companies increased, when people started looking at, or rather when companies started looking at implementing systems, a lot of the data started residing in different fragments, different shape and form across systems. But the data never got connected together. So you might have something like a customer details, which is in one of your systems. You might have your product related details in some other system, say like an SAP, which maintains products in a very beautiful fashion. The customer and the product never really merged to give the importance to the fact that there are some customers who are looking at certain set of products in a certain fashion. That is, their business requires those products. And that's the way analytics and basic CRM information should be structured. So generally, if we look at the overall orientation in which customers and organizations have looked at, any organization always wants the fact that I don't want to spend a lot of money in terms of personnel cost. I don't want to employ too many people doing the same thing and not being able to give me revenues. I want a reduced task force, give me more revenues. Next, I don't want to spend a lot of time in terms of maintaining systems, maintaining people to do a lot of manual stuff. And finally, for an organization, the end result is always around revenue generation. Whatever it may be, whatever sector an organization may work in, it's always around revenues. It's always around how do we get more out of whatever we do. On the other side of things, or rather the other side, when moment you flip the coin, you'll see customers speaking a different language. Customers don't want to indulge in too much of big talk. They just want quick and specific response. They want flexible resolutions to their problems. They don't want people to talk about, look, in the next 5 years, in the next 5 years, this is how your systems will pan out. This is how your world will pan out. So look at us from a change management point of view and things like that. Customers want quick things. It's like, yes, I want these solutions. Can you come back to me with these answers? If not, I'll move on to someone else. That's how short attention spans of customers is. And this is the reason, if you look at it in this way, that customers and organizations are facing in two different directions, it's CRM actually which comes in between and tries to gel the two together. So if I have to now answer how is it that CRM gels these two aspects together of customer versus organizations, it's one. It will help you to continuously exchange information across all customer touch points. And when I speak of touch points, it's basically every single mode of communication with the customer, maybe through a social media, something like say a Facebook or a LinkedIn. Guys, can you just hold on? I'll just give me a minute to. Yeah. Okay. Sorry for that noise which was coming in between. Okay, the first part I talked about in terms of exchange of information across customer touchpoints. Second one is basically around providing personalized set of details in terms of products and services. Generally, you have multiple groups of customers, multiple types of demands and so on. As a company, nowadays, you will generally try and formulate different types of products aimed at different segments. You can't go back to that Ford mentality and say that you can have it in any color only if it's black. You can't say that to today's customers. They'll go away. They'll go away to your competitors. They'll go away to maybe say other products that your company wants, and you may lose a high value customer there. Third, what is it that CRM system provides? It's a mode of real-time access to all information. Real-time access is something which is really important right now in the market. Real-time access is something which everyone is really craving for. It's what organizations crave for, it's what a lot of customers crave for, and so on. And finally, something which is really important, you can't give a different kind of experience to a customer across different touch points. It's not like someone coming in through social media gets a different viewpoint about a product, and then when the person actually goes and meets your company representative, say at one of your brick and mortar shops, the experience is completely different. You can't do that. You need to give the same value proposition across different formats. CRM systems help you to ensure that the user experience is generally consistent. Now, when we look at CRM systems and how things have evolved, there generally have been three broad classifications or rather three broad phases in the way CRM systems have evolved, and as a result of which, two broad types of CRM systems. One is called on-premise or traditional CRM systems. In the bracket, you will see the name Siebel. So Siebel CRM was something which was really prevalent in say around the late 1980s, early 1990s or so on. What was the features of this system? Any company which wanted to look at CRM as a solution would have to have in-house servers, would have to have its own set of networks. It would have to allow people from different countries, different business units to log into this kind of system. The other type of system which has gained prominence mostly in the either the late 90s or in the early 2000s is what we now term as on-demand or cloud-based systems. Difference from traditional systems or on-premise systems is all that you need for a cloud-based system is a laptop and a good connectivity, a desktop and a good connectivity, a tablet with good connectivity, a mobile phone with good connectivity. Basically, with traditional systems, you needed to have separate infrastructure in terms of servers, networks, God knows what not. With cloud systems, all you need is a simple laptop and an internet connection, and that's it. You have a CRM system running for you. It's now your choice in terms of how is it that you want to look at CRM systems. Now, typically, SFDC is what really drove the thing about cloud-based systems. SFDC itself is a cloud-based system. I'll explain what cloud-based system is in the next couple of minutes, but remember that SFDC is a cloud-based system. Now, when I talk of cloud-based system, I gave you a very clear view, right? And that's what the first two lines also talk about. All you need is a laptop or a computer or a mobile, and you connect to it through the internet. Now, how is it that this thing works? What happens is the entire aspect of maintaining servers, network, security, and so on is something which is managed by the company called Salesforce. The company's product, which is Salesforce.com, that company makes sure that the product is available to you through the internet. So you can actually get your entire product and get it working using the internet. That's what cloud computing means. Using the cloud to compute your own set of details, your own set of data, and so on. What are the benefits of having cloud computing? Simple. You'll see some terms on the bottom left of the screen. Multi-tenant. Multi-tenant means very simple. It's like a hostel in which every single room corresponds to one company. So every company has its own space. Every company works in its own way inside its room. But the overall hostel is something which is managed separately. You don't, as a tenant in that hostel, you don't have to worry about how that hostel is maintained. All you have to worry about is the room you are in, and that's it. Plus the fact that every room is separated from the next room with partitions. So the person in the next room doesn't get to enter your room till you allow them the access. As simple as that. That's multi-tenant. Second, it's pay per use. Today you have one room, you want two rooms, you pay for two and you get two rooms. That's pay per use. It's very simple. You don't have to look at bulk costs with Salesforce.com or other cloud computing solutions. Third, it's scalable. Today you have one room, tomorrow you need five, you increase the amount of money you are paying for five rooms and you get five rooms. Tomorrow you want to scale it down to 3 rooms, you can do that in the next few days after you have decided. So that's what is basically driving cloud computing and is making sure that cloud computing is the way to progress for the entire industry. Now coming to two quick aspects of cloud computing. One is SaaS, software as a service, and next one is PaaS, which is platform as a service. Now software as a service is nothing. It's very simple. You have a software, it's hosted through the internet and people use it through the internet. That's software as a service. You'll see some very key messages for software as a service highlighted in a different color. I am not going through each of those individually, but try and understand this. Any software, when you get it through the internet, you can obviously use it for a lot of purposes which really suit your own kind of business. And when you do that, when you understand software as a service, remember that Salesforce is a typical example of software as a service. That's very important to understand. Software as a service is basically a software which is hosted on the internet to make sure people can use that software for their own businesses. Next aspect, platform as a service. So as the name explains, platform as a service is very simple. It's like saying that someone has provided me a space on the internet to do whatever, or rather build whatever systems I want to do on the internet. So what you do is you build your own systems. Instead of someone specifying what software you need, you are given a space on the internet where you are just asked to develop your own system. A lot of companies want to do that. Reason being, they think that whatever software is being sold is not the right fit for their companies, and they want to develop something on top of it. They want to develop a customized version of that software for themselves. That's when they go for platform as a service. Now the funny part is, I said Salesforce is SaaS. Salesforce is also PaaS. How? Salesforce has a I would say variant which is known as Force.com, which is the third example on the left hand side. Force.com is really like an empty box. What we in software technology related implementations or organizations, what a box means is it's like an open space where you can develop your own set of applications. On the internet, a box is available and you can develop your own set of customized rules. You can have your entire set of workflows and so on to get your work happening for your company. That's PaaS for you. I really won't get into the details of all this because this is something that we'll discuss in a lot more detail when we are starting our sessions on the actual classes, when we are starting from Monday from the next weekend onwards. And I'm sincerely hoping that at least a few of you would be there during the sessions, because that's where we'll be talking a lot in terms of your sales processes, marketing processes, services related processes, partnerships. How is it that Salesforce manages partnerships? What does Salesforce do with content? Salesforce is able to make sure that you are able to quickly manage a lot of details available on your system or in terms of your websites and all. How is it that you can do that better? How is it that Salesforce will help you to post an idea in terms of getting a better solution for something? How is Salesforce working with Google on certain facts? What app exchanges? What are the different kinds of Salesforce products that I can get in the market? I won't get into the details of all of these right now, but remember one fact. The three blocks on the left hand side, sales, marketing, service. These are like the backbone of Salesforce.com. It's with these three blocks that people almost spend, or rather companies almost spend 70 to 80% of their time. Remaining 20, 25, 30% of their time is what is spent on the other five aspects that you see on the right hand side, starting with partnerships. So, since we have now understood the basics around what Salesforce provides, let's look at why is it that Salesforce is really good in the market. It's about not having databases. So what you see on your screen right now from the top left is basically Salesforce providing these databases. You don't have to own any of these databases. Salesforce will make sure all this information is managed for you. Second, web services API. What does this mean? So a lot of you who are into development, who are into pure play application development, coding and so on, they would understand the term that when you want to connect two systems, one of which is in the internet or one of which is outside your domain, you would want to develop it, you will want to connect it through web service APIs. APIs are nothing but way of connecting two systems to one another using easily configurable connectors. Their APIs are connectors. Third, workflow engine. What this means is Salesforce has a very beautiful way of guiding users to flow through an entire process. As I said just before this slide, there are three main aspects of Salesforce: sales, marketing and services. For each of these three aspects, there's a defined workflow by Salesforce. So any user who is using it for the first time, they will be guided through that in a fashion that users cannot go wrong. Users really take very less time to get accustomed to Salesforce, and that's the reason why this product is selling like a hot cake in the market right now. On the upper right hand most side, fonts and page layout editor. What this means is a very easy way of making sure that your systems show pages, which is basically like a web page form, and it looks in such a way that it's easy to read, it's easy to I would say get all the details from, and you can easily organize all the details on the page to form logical sections. That's forms and page layout editor. Again, starting with the lower left hand side, it's access control and audits. This is actually security plus end user administration. So the two on the bottom left hand side are actually something related to Salesforce security, which is one of the best in the market right now. anyone who wants to learn about Salesforce.com security, not from a, I would say, not from a developer or a configuration point of view, generally would look at the site called trust.salesforce.com. They would learn a lot more in terms of the kind of security Salesforce provides and how organizations have benefited from it. The two on the right hand side on the bottom, multi-device and reporting. So these are basically ways of connecting. Reporting, I am sure all of you understand, it's about meaningful representation of information. Multi-device means for Salesforce.com, a lot of users actually want to connect through, sometimes they want to connect through your desktop. In the next couple of hours, they want to open the same application using their Android phones. But at the same time, they want to see all the data that they have worked on using their desktop or their laptop. This is what multi-device means. Salesforce will provide a unified experience across all these platforms. You can log in through your Android phone and work on whatever you left from your desktop. That's the beauty of it. The table on the bottom of the screen, what it basically talks about is, right now, if you looked at a Force.com or a Salesforce.com system, developing that system generally takes 80% of clicks and only 20% of code. What it means is I'm able to configure a system or prepare a system specifically for a customer with nothing but just using an internet connection with a broadband connectivity. It's clicks. So what we do is you basically log into Salesforce. There are ways of customizing your screen right inside Salesforce, and you don't have to write at all a lot of code to do that. Whereas traditionally all systems, be it SAP, be it traditional CRM systems in terms of say like Siebel, they are mostly coding based. So you see effort of almost 80% is concentrated on the coding part. So this is how Salesforce differentiates itself from the market. The next three slides actually provide a base overview in terms of what the three clouds is. I won't go through these slides in a lot of details because it would be better if we talk about all this on the session starting from 5th of September. We would have detailed almost 2-hour sessions for each of these three aspects. In a broad overview, if I have to talk about Sales Cloud is basically around selling your products, selling your services to a client. And Sales Cloud actually has a lot of aspects which you can see in the bottom image of the screen, which is around leads and data, accounts and contacts, chatter, touch, opportunities. These are actually like what can I call them? These are actually like the bread and butter of Salesforce. Sales Cloud is like the most important thing which works within the Salesforce.com enterprise. Second, Service Cloud. Service Cloud is basically something like you have already sold the product. As a company, you have already sold the product. Now, your customers actually may have some queries, may have some complaints, and so on. So what do? You have to obviously remain in touch with your customers, right? You have to answer their queries, you have to answer their complaints, you have to find ways to provide services to these customers. Service Cloud is actually that way of interacting with your customers and getting in touch with them so that their queries get answered in the best possible fashion. Again, Service Cloud is something that we'll talk of extensively in the classes that we'll have from 5th October onwards. I'm hoping a few of you would definitely be there to go through the details. Let me take you to the next section, which is Marketing Cloud. The Marketing Cloud, as the name suggests, it's very, I would say, intuitive. Marketing is all about promoting your services, promoting your products. By using the Marketing Cloud, what you do is basically you try and pitch your products in front of the customers and ensure that they remember your products, they like your products, they want to then look at these products and then order these products. So till the point The products are actually sold, which is the sales functionalities or the sales cloud functions. Marketing cloud is what companies really look at in terms of exciting customers through various promotional schemes, through various kind of promotional offers and so on. There are different marketing campaigns which go on and so on. That's marketing cloud for you. This is something I won't go into. This is actually what we call as the data model. This diagram in itself is something that we will discuss at least for 1 hour during our sessions from 5th October onwards. We'll have 16-hour sessions from 5th October on, 5th of September onwards. This discussion in itself will take at least 1.5 hours to discuss. It's like an entire session in itself, because this is how Salesforce is oriented. This is how Salesforce actually is what can I call it? It's the way Salesforce is actually organized to make sure that all the CRM processes are available. Now, I spoke about 3 important facts at the end, towards the end of this presentation. One is business objects. It's like the bones or the building blocks of our body. Without business objects, you can't do anything. The image that you see on the right hand side, it actually talks of the different objects which Salesforce provides. But business objects is typically the way in which you will always try and organize your information so that you can relate that information from one object to another object. Of course, we'll get into a lot more details of each of these objects as we progress, but then that's how business objects work. Business objects is basically the way in which we are able to connect one set of information with another set of information. It's not like, so I gave you the example, right? You have your products in one system, say like SAP, you have your customer related details in another system. If you can't connect the 2 dots, what's the purpose of having that information? What business objects will do is, it will ensure that the 2 information saved in 2 different blocks get connected through some way. We will talk about how they connect, what information, how is it that this kind of a relationship is maintained and so on. We will talk about it in the detailed sessions, but for now, that's the purpose of business objects. Of course, on the right hand side, you can see some images, but more importantly are the bullets which are provided on the left hand side. These are the tools. Without these tools, any Salesforce administrator or a configuration expert would just be, he would just not be able to work. These are the different tools which any configurator or any administrator uses to develop a Salesforce.com system. And finally, I just kept this slide for a very important thing. This is an actual Salesforce.com user interface. When you log into Salesforce.com, you will actually see this is the way in which things are organized. Look how clean Salesforce.com systems are all about. And this is one of the main USPs of Salesforce, the reason why it sells in the market. It looks beautiful. It is easy to navigate through. Of course, when you see, you will obviously see my name in the featuring. It's because this is from my own Salesforce.com org. What we will also learn as a part of our detailed sessions from 5th September onwards is the fact, how do you create your own Salesforce.com application or organization for yourself. Because only when you have this organization, you will be able to do a lot of customizations, changes on the systems and so on. Of course, we will go through the how do people do those changes and so on. Most importantly, anyone asks you what is the best part about Salesforce, I think 9 out of 10 clients would come back and say it's the UI which is so easy to use. I love Salesforce user interface. Finally, coming to the last aspect that we want to discuss today. After this, I'll take the questions that you guys have. Analytics. This is the buzzword in the industry right now. Anyone trying to just implement greenfield systems is not that successful unless that person is also able to sell an analytic solution. Analytic solution basically mean two things. One, reports, which is like logically organizing data into different groups. Second is dashboards, representing that same organized data through charts, through tables, through some graphs. That's what the two kind of logical or the analytical tools are. How does Salesforce maintain all of it? What you will see in terms of the image in the middle is actually a Salesforce dashboard. It's a sample dashboard which Salesforce shows. You'll actually see the beauty of looking at this information. What really happens is anyone who logs into a system or a Salesforce system and goes to the dashboards, he will always see a real-time update of data, be it through his mobile, be it through his laptop, be it through his tablet. Real-time information is critical for any customer relationship management system, and Salesforce excels there. Plus, what you will also get is each of these blocks that you see in terms of these different dashboards, the charts, the what you call as the gauge, the middle ones which are semicircular are called gauges in Salesforce. You can click on all of it to actually see the data behind it. That's the beauty of Salesforce. You actually see what constitutes your dashboards. It's not like you prepare a dashboard using Excel, you send it to someone, and then the other person clicks and says that the data is not available. Base data cannot be shown. It's not like that. It's as simple as seeing that entire data right there in front of you, and how is it that that's spanning to form the dashboard. That's the beauty of Salesforce Analytics. Of course, this is again a representation of how Salesforce reports are prepared. Reason I kept it here is very simple. Yes, all of you, most of you would have seen reports. If you see this particular screen, you will see three aspects of it. One is the vertical column on the left, which is known as field pane, to which I have provided an information which says drag and drop fields. All you need to do when you create a report is just pick up any of these fields which appear on the left, pull it and keep it on the bottom right hand side, which is known as a preview screen. That field will come up there. All the information below that particular field will come up there. Second, the preview screen, which is basically in terms of seeing what you want to actually see in that report. So it's not always you want to see all the fields, you want only specific fields. So you pick only the relevant fields from your left, drop them in the preview pane, and they'll organize by themselves. You can obviously move fields across from right to left and so on. Third thing, the one above preview, the preview screen is the filters. Filters is basically a way of clubbing your data or making sure you don't have to see all the data for the entire Salesforce.com application. You can say I want to see the data for only the last 10 days, and that's it. Your data will be available in the preview screen. Of course, what happens is below the preview screen there's a button called Save Report. Moment you click on that Save Report, it will take you and show the entire report in a beautiful fashion. Plus, what Salesforce also provides is, once you have a report, you can immediately export it out to Excel with all the formatting intact. And that's the beauty of it. So Salesforce reports can also be taken out into Excel, and then further modifications can be done based on how companies work. So that's a company to company preference in terms of whether someone wants to customize it further, whether someone is happy with the report in Salesforce, and so on. Dashboards, as I spoke of, it's as beautiful as you can get. You cannot get better dashboards than what Salesforce provides. Yes, there are a lot of reporting tools which provides dashboards. You can do a lot of stuff with dashboards from Salesforce, and nowadays a lot of companies also integrate their reporting systems to Salesforce to get all the data from Salesforce to reporting systems and prepare dashboards. but Salesforce has its own set of beautiful dashboards which you can configure. Best part is anyone and everyone can do that in Salesforce. It's that easy. So guys, I'm done with my presentation. It's time for your questions. It's time for your queries. Post your queries on the chat window. I'll start going through the questions starting from the top. And maybe in the next 10 minutes or so, we'll quickly try and wrap up this session. Okay, I see almost a lot of questions having come in. Okay. Okay, Anjali has a question. Am I the instructor at Edureka and taking training sessions of Salesforce? Yes, Anjali, I am. I'll be the one who will be interacting over a month, over 16 hours on weekends, starting from 5th of September. If you want to learn about Salesforce, I'll be there to talk about Salesforce and its different aspects. I'm hoping that you will be there. Thank you. Next question. Okay, let me just scroll down a little bit. Okay. One question which has come in from Sumit Jain is companies like Monster Jobs are moving from Siebel to Salesforce. What does SFDC hold for future? The answer for this actually lies in the way the market is moving. So what happens is Monster.com would have its task force which is moving around in the market and trying to gather a lot of details. You can't expect that sales team or the sales reps to come back to their base locations, then type in all the data that they collected and so on in the system. Salesforce provides you with that kind of mobility that you can actually keep entering your data as you keep collecting your data. So you will spend your precious time collecting that information, not entering that information. This is the way the industry is moving. It wants mobility-based solutions. It wants digitalization of solutions. It wants to move to a solution where you don't have to come back to your systems to enter the data. That's where Salesforce is gaining over Siebel. And right now, Salesforce is almost like #1 CRM application which is available. Of course, there are a lot more in terms of even with cloud computing, but you can't beat Salesforce where it is. Sukanya has a question, and I think it has been answered by Edureka itself in terms of whether the recorded file will be available or not. The answer to it obviously is yes, Edureka will share with you the recorded file of this session. Okay, next question is Sumit has a question again, which says, can you write the URL you mentioned to learn as a non-developer user? So Sumit, the URL is trust.salesforce.com. Just Google it, you will find this URL. It's a widely known URL. Sumit has another question, and it's an interesting one. Salesforce is getting obsoleted. What about SFDC? Not in the next 15 to 20 years, Sumit. There isn't a better solution. There isn't a more, I would say, a solution, a CRM solution, which is so stable, which is so feature rich right now in the market. Yes, Microsoft has brought its own CRM solution, which is Microsoft Azure. Plus, you have, I think, Amazon also is trying to get into the cloud computing space. But then next 15 to 20 years, Salesforce is not going anywhere. It is the market leader right now, and it will remain the market leader. Ravi Mehrotra has a question. How does Salesforce connect to social media like Facebook and Twitter? What happens is, Ravi, you'll have, say, you'll post ads on Facebook and Twitter with links to that particular product. Moment you click on that link and you provide that information, what you can do is through the web forms, you can actually get all that information into Salesforce. That's how it generally connects. Tausif has a question. Is it possible to migrate all the businesses on Salesforce? If yes, how a design consultancy can migrate these businesses on Salesforce? Let me answer this first, Tausif, before I get into your second question. Answer to that is yes, you can do that. Only thing is, it will mean a lot of investment in terms of developing systems and applications from scratch. But can you not do that? Yes, you can do that, because on Salesforce using force.com, remember PaaS? On force.com, you can build your entire organization processes, systems on Salesforce. That's the answer. I hope I've answered your question, Tausif. Second question, if Salesforce is so visible, then why customer end is having the application in which customer can see which product is most suitable? I don't actually get the question. If Salesforce is so visible, then why customers end is having the application in which customer can see which product is more suitable? Tausif, if you could just reword this question once again, I'll go through the your question once it comes again. Shrikant has a question. What is the future of Salesforce? So Shrikant, right now what's happening is Salesforce is like the leader in, in the CRM space. Across the world, a lot of implementations on Sales Cloud, Marketing Cloud, and Service Cloud are happening. Plus, thousands and thousands of organizations are now trying to build custom applications which may be related to inventory management, which may be related to HR solutions on Salesforce. Why? Because the license cost related to building those solutions on Salesforce is cheap. So Salesforce is not going anywhere for at least the next 15, 20, 30 years. And at the same time, Salesforce brings in something new to the market every 3 years, every 3 months or so. So we have something which is new to the market known as Lightning, and which Salesforce says is actually going to revolutionize the way people look at a CRM applications in terms of the UI. It's going to be that feature rich, but it will still be available through the internet, through the quickest of downloads. Anjali has a question. The course that we will talk about, does it cover development or force.com? So Anjali, couple of things here. For Salesforce, as I think we discussed it in one of the slides, it's 80% clicks and 20% coding. So I'll talk about the 80% bit. So you'll be able to do 80% system configuration based on what I'll teach you throughout the course. The coding bit is not something which I'll talk about, because I am not a coder. I am a business analyst from a functional consultant. So when I work on my Salesforce projects, I identify the bit of coding that will be required. I identify the requirements. I develop the coding related overall solution, and then I hand it over to the coding team to do that. A very pertinent question from Kranti. Can you differentiate between a SF developer, which is Salesforce developer, a Salesforce administrator, and configurator? So Kranti, the answer to it is straightforward. An administrator and a configurator are the same thing. Now a Salesforce developer versus an administrator is a little different. A Salesforce administrator will do two things. First, he will plan out in terms of how your overall system would work. So your Salesforce administrator is the one who will give shape to the organization. Plus, there are times when a Salesforce administrator also does the functional configuration or the click related configuration. When you can't do certain things by straightforward Salesforce features, you use Salesforce developers to develop the coding bit. That's called customization on Salesforce. So the Salesforce developer does customization, a Salesforce administrator or configurator does configuration. Srinivas has a question which is a repeated question. Am I going to cover both admin and development part in my training session? I'll cover the administration part. Development part is something which, since I am not the expert there, I'll not be there to talk about development. Of course, we'll talk in brief about the language that is used for development, but that's it. Gopal has a beautiful question. What are the prerequisites to learn Salesforce? Basic, to the point, Gopal. Thank you for asking this question. Gopal, the prerequisites are very straightforward. The prerequisites are, you need a laptop, you need an internet connection. In terms of your knowledge, You just, and so I'll tell you, Gopal, how I started learning Salesforce. I just knew basics around using Microsoft Excel. So when I started initially with Salesforce and there were client requirements, I used to think about it from an Excel standpoint. That look, this is how my data is organized. Now, this is what my client is asking me to do. How would I do that in Excel? Would I copy it directly there? Would I be able to reference one field to another? That's how easy Salesforce learning is. Anil Behra has a solution. How does this product differ from BPM tool? Anil, it's a very different tool than a BPM tool. A BPM tool will help you to configure your processes. Yes, I am not a BPM expert, but from my experience, a BPM tool will help you to plan out or chalk out the entire process. Here in Salesforce, you will implement a specific CRM process on a tool which will help you to implement the solution. It's a software solution for CRM. It's not a process mapping tool. Ganesh has a question. Do we have a training session on Salesforce, specifically the HR module? Ganesh, the answer to that is there is no specific training module for Salesforce focusing on HR because Salesforce is not an HR solution. But there are a couple of exercises where I will actually test your understanding on Salesforce to develop a HR solution in the recruiting space. In case you are interested, I would love to have you there and see your expertise on HR because I want that HR flavor to come out when we talk of that particular case study. Kranti has a question. Can we integrate a module from Salesforce, say Chatter, into another app? Yes, we can, Kranti. That's actually how we do it through web services using APIs. How IaaS, infrastructure as a service, is different from SaaS or PaaS? And that's a question from Venkatesh. Venkatesh, the answer to it is it's different from SaaS. I'm sure you would have understood by now. Infrastructure as a service and platform as a service are basically very similar, very similar. I don't know how I would be able to differentiate between the two. Basically, there's still a little bit of difference. And infrastructure as a service, I would typically think it's like a bare minimum server. With a platform like Salesforce, like Force.com, platform as a service, you still have some basics in terms of the way system is oriented and so on. Software as a service is completely different. It's the software which is available. It's a configured software which is there. Ganesh has another question. How difficult would it be for a technology novice to learn Salesforce? So Ganesh, my answer to this is very simple again. 5 years back, I had never worked in an IT implementation. I am a guy who has worked in manufacturing in a core R&D sector. I had never learned any technology product before that. Today I sit before you and I'm giving the training on Salesforce. It's a tool which if you like, you will really learn very quickly. Similar question by Anjali. I know C++, how easy will it be to pick? So Anjali, all I understand in terms of the development part is it's not very different from the way coding is done. The basics around coding in terms of the logic remains same. The basic only difference is in terms of how is it that the language is configured. Chandra, you have a question. What are the primary differences between Siebel and Salesforce? I think I gave that when I talked about on-premise systems and on-demand systems. Ram Prasad has a question. How many days to complete both admin and development? So I'll be talking about the admin part. So admin is something that will have a 16-hour course spread over 4 weekends, Saturday, Sundays. So 4 hours over a weekend, 4 weekends. So that's 16 hours. Kranti, I think I've answered this question. Difference between a Salesforce developer, Salesforce admin and configurator. I hope you get the answer to that question. Asmat, the question that you have in terms of it is difficult for me while working with workflows. Is there any easy process to learn workflows? Work on workflows, you will learn. That's the way I learned it. There's no better way to learn workflows. Ravi Mehrotra has a question. Can Salesforce work offline and come back once the user is connected to network? Yes, Ravi. So new features of Salesforce which are coming, it is actually allowing offline connectivity. So what you do is you can do a bit of offline work. Moment you connect your system back to the network, it will sync all the data. Dhananjay, I see your question, which is a bit technical in terms of a life cycle of a case of a web to case. You would have to come back to the session to learn about the entire web to case functionality. For the greater good of the entire group here, I wouldn't want to delve into it right now. Raghav, another question. I would like to know whether I can take up Salesforce. So yes, Raghav, you can. That's the reason why I'm talking about this session. I think it's an easy system to talk about. It's an easy system to learn. Join the course and go through the webinars, think through, and then join the session. Venkatesh has a question. What about placements for freshers compared to experienced guys? Freshers generally would get placed in terms of developer roles and basic business analysts who would typically talk of system configuration. Experienced people, of course, based on what they have, what they know, and what they do. That's a different ball game altogether. I see Tarun Gupta has asked about what are the kind of job opportunities. Tarun, just do a Naukri search on in terms of a certified force.com or certified Salesforce developer. You'll get the answer. It's as simple as that. Shrikant, good question from your end. Is that a data secure in the cloud computing? It's very secure, and that's the reason why I'm saying go to that URL called trust.salesforce.com. Uh, Guys, I'll have to quickly take maybe the next only 3 or 4 more questions, and I see the same question coming up again and again. I hope I've answered that question around differences between Salesforce developer, administrator, and configurator. Uh, Sales Cloud and Service Cloud, which one is preferable? So Ram Prasad, the answer to that is companies which want to implement sales processes, look at Sales Cloud. Companies which want to look at service related features, look at Service Cloud. There are companies which want to look at both, they get both of them. That's Sales Cloud versus Service Cloud. Kranti, I think the same question is being posted by you for almost the last 15-20 times. I hope I've answered your question in terms of differences between Salesforce developer, administrator, and configurator. Yes, I hope I have. Okay. Ganesh, again, a similar question. How difficult would it be to learn for a coding novice to learn Salesforce? Ganesh, I am not even a coding novice, but I have learned Salesforce. I think that answers your question, right? Okay, Asmat has a question that if I am teaching only admin part, who will teach the developer and integration part? So Asmat, this course, 16 hours, is too less even for the admin part. But I will include all the admin related part. Currently, you'll have to get back to Edureka for the developer and the integration part. I am not the right person who will be able to give you these details. Priyam, you have asked a very offbeat question, and I don't think this is the right moment to talk about my experiences in IML. How was my job experience? It's been good. It's been a learning experience. IML is tough. Yes, it helps you to learn a lot of things. I hope I've given a couple of glimpses into what our life was back then. Uh, Kranti, you have a question on in terms of certifications. Salesforce has a lot of certifications which you can do. There is an admin certification which is known as 201 to start with. You can obviously get into advanced administrator as well. Then you have specific certifications on Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, Marketing Cloud. As a developer, you have certifications in as a developer, which is 401, and then there's an advanced developer. Hope that answers your question. Ram Prasad, you have a question. I am into .NET. I want to migrate. Am I suitable? Yes, you are. Raghavendra, I think your question is also similar. I am from mainframe background. Can I take it up or not? You'll just have to unlearn a couple of things about mainframe, because mainframe deals with databases and servers. Here, you won't have to work on databases and servers at all. You'll have to work in terms of what the user in front of you want. Shrikant has a question: how development certification will help the candidates? Will be helpful to experienced candidates. So Shrikant, what happens is it's like gaining that kind of acceptance in the market. That's what certifications always have been. It's never been a mandate, and that's a question by Srinivas as well. It's never been a mandate. There are a lot of people in the market who are good Salesforce developers, good Salesforce administration guys, but then they don't have certifications. I myself didn't have my certifications till a certain point. But was it that I didn't get into projects? I got into a lot of projects which have helped me to learn. Hope that answers your question. Same question by Azmat: is the certification important as a fresher or experience? It's not Azmat. So basically what you'll need to do is, yes, it's helpful to show that you know Salesforce, but obviously when you get into your job, when you try and apply for jobs, when you get into your interviews, you'll have to explain Salesforce. That's important for you all the while. So guys, I think that's the end of our questions. Thank you for all your time. Thank you for being with me here. I am hopeful that I would see a few of you out there during my sessions from 5th of September onwards. Right now the sessions are scheduled from 8:30 to 10:30 p.m. On the evenings. In case there is a change in plan on the timeline, on the time front, we'll communicate to all of you soon enough. Thanks guys for your time. Thank you so much, and hope we'll meet in the next 4 to 5 days. Thank you. Bye bye and good night.